I was in the hospital for 7 days. And on the sixth day, a cardiologist walked in and said, okay, it's in your lungs. So it's most definitely around your heart. And he said, it's a form of endocarditis. And I was a drug rep back in the day. So I sold cardiovascular drugs. So I knew that endocarditis was really bad. And I didn't even tell my husband. He had no idea what it was, but I knew if that was the case, it was going to change my life probably forever.
Did you know that in the US, someone dies from cardiovascular disease every 34 seconds? And nearly 45% of women over the age of 20 are living with some kind of cardiovascular disease. And I'm not sharing this to scare you. Quite the contrary. I want to inform you. And I want to let you know that it's very possible you probably know somebody who is living with cardiovascular disease. I do. In fact, I just recently found this out myself. And that is my friend Stacey Grant, who joins us today on HIListically Speaking. I did not know that this was something that you were struggling with. And I thought, you know what? It's Women's Health Month and we're about to leave this month, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be thinking about these things going forward, right? It's not just a month where we think about our health and our heart health or just our health in general. It's every month. But for you, when I heard that you had faced something in regards to your own personal heart health, I was like, I need to have you here. I need you to share your story. You're being so open with it. And quite frankly, I had no clue. So this is one of those things that we need to have a conversation about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more that I learn, the more I realize I don't know about heart
Yeah.
health, especially in women. It's insane.
Yeah. And, you and I go back a ways. We've known each other for a number of years. We're both podcasters. I want to give you a shout out for your podcast, Gurus and Game
Game changers.
Changers with Mark Labragi. And I've been so fortunate to be on your show as well. But I think like we connect in these ways through our stories, right? We're storytellers as podcasters, but also as human beings. And for you, your own personal story with this, I mean, never have I heard you talk about it. Then I see a social media post where you shared more about it, that you're actually nominated as one of the women of impact for the American Heart Association with the Go Red campaign, which is going on. It started on Go Red Day, right, in
Yep, February
February, but
7th. Yep.
and going through, the next 10 weeks or so. But when I was like, what is she talking about? So I want to give you a chance to share your story, to give women and just anyone in general, an awareness that there are things we need to check on, even if it goes undetected and we don't even know what's happening in our bodies. What can we do to bring awareness to this, to check ourselves, especially as we get older?
It's crazy. And after menopause, it kind of spikes in women. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think women are like this and men are they slope.
Mm.
But once menopause hits, it literally goes like this. And I think most women over the age of 50 are the ones who struggle. But for me, like my story was just out of nowhere, right? So I had this really strange little sore on my face. And I was in Virginia actually, and I was hanging out with my sister-in-law, and I was like, this is strange, right? It's all of a sudden getting really big. So the side of my face got huge. And I tried everything. I put, a Neosporin. I thought, was it an ingrown hair? I had no idea what it was. Is it a bite that's gotten infected? But like, I didn't think it was anything crazy, right? I mean, we never do. We're women, so we just let everything go. So I went home that day, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And long story short, I ended up in the hospital. It was at first misdiagnosed. I had regular antibiotics, ended up in the hospital, and it was MRSA, which is crazy. How does that
Mm.
happen? And then the MRSA, which is a medically resistant staph infection. It's very hard to treat. And it went into my bloodstream, and then it went into my lungs. And it was in the hospital for 7 days. And on the sixth day, a cardiologist walked in and said, okay, it's in your lungs. So it's most definitely around your heart. And he said, it's a form of endocarditis.
Mm.
And I was a drug rep back in the day. So I sold cardiovascular drugs. So I knew that endocarditis was really bad. And I didn't even tell my husband. He had no idea what it was, but I knew if that was the case, it was going to change my life probably forever. So I had to go get a test called an interesophageal echocardiogram, where they looked at my heart. And that day I was freaking out, just freaking out. And the cardiologist had told me it is definitely around your heart. Somehow, when I came out of that echocardiogram, the nurse was like, she knew how crazy I was about it. She grabbed me and she said, "You're okay. You're okay. It's not around your heart." But it miffed every doctor. They had no idea why it hadn't, gone around my heart. So I just felt extremely grateful that I was not going to have to deal with with heart disease for the rest of my life. So fast forward to one of my friends who is on the board of directors of the American Heart Association. She came and sat with me and we were talking, and I told her I wanted to give back. So next thing you know, I heard that I was a nominee for the American Heart Association Go Red for Women, Women of Impact. And what that is, do you want me to continue to tell you? I feel
Yeah,
like I've just been
please
talking and
tell
talking.
people.
So what that is an 11-week campaign. And I am up against 10 other women in the Philadelphia area. And we're raising money for the American Heart Association Go Red for Women. But I've learned a ton. I'm doing a bunch of events. I've had people come to me and tell me stories, and it's just been wonderful, really.
Yeah. And part of that, I mean, you mentioned this to me, and I know this for who you are. This is the kind of person you are. It's not about the win, it's about raising awareness,
Exactly.
and because I asked you, I said, what happens if you become the woman of impact, the one who actually walks away with it? And you're like, I just get to tell the story. And
Yeah.
isn't that's really the true gift, is being able to touch, move, and inspire one person? It can make a difference. Look, it already made a difference in my life when I think about the fact that I didn't even know that you were struggling with this at one point. And here you are talking about it and being open about it, to where maybe it'll make one person ask for that one test or go to the doctor when they haven't before. Or, as women in perimenopause and menopause, like you said, the numbers skyrocket. The things we don't think about, even in our healthiest state, you know?
No, and I mean, my sister, who is 52 years old, just recently had two friends who had heart attacks. Do you know what their symptoms were?
No.
Indigestion.
Mm,
Strong in it, but strong enough indigestion that they actually, thank goodness, went to the hospital.
mm,
But our symptoms are so different from men. I mean, you watch a movie and you see a guy and he grabs his chest and he falls down and you're like, "Oh, he's having a heart attack." I mean, you know what's happening to that man. But for
mm.
women, it could be anything. It could be jaw pain, it could be arm pain, it could be indigestion, just sort of a little bit of pressure, abdominal pain. And I don't know about you, but I don't know any woman who's going to call 911 because she has jaw pain. Like, I just, she's probably thinking she's got a toothache. I mean, we all try and do so much.
Yeah.
And, I know so many women who just really don't care about themselves as much as they care about others, unfortunately, because we just sort of always fall to the end of the list.
I think there's both sides to it too. Like, women, we're the nurturers, we take care, we want to protect, we tend to put ourselves second in a lot of ways, and we don't step up and do a lot of self-care. And you and I have had many conversations about that, about how we can do that, what we can do to actually raise more awareness in that area, which I
Like
love.
havening,
Like havening,
like
girl. I love that.
havening,
Thank you for bringing that up.
for
Yes,
sure.
havening is one tool, and I'm so glad that that's something you resonate and gravitate to. But there are many tools. But it's not even that. It's like, what are you doing to be your own healthcare advocate? And then you go to the other side of the fence. Even though we're talking about this during the time of recording, it's Women's Heart Health Month. Like I said, this is an ongoing
Yeah.
thing. This is the month where we should be aware of this. This is like, the awareness sparks action. The awareness sparks further awareness on how you're going to look forward and do things in the future to protect your heart and all 2000 parts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know so many facts about heart disease. And I'm not young. You know what I mean? I should know these things, I feel
Yeah.
like. But it's the number one killer of women and actually everyone in the United States. It's the number one killer. It kills more people than all cancers combined every year. And I unfortunately didn't know that. And the other thing I didn't realize was that women, so let's say you're walking down the street and you're a woman and you have a heart attack, and next to you, and you fall down, and next to you, a man falls down with a heart attack. 80% of people will help the man and not help the women. Do you know why?
I do not know why.
Because
Do
we
men
have
grab their,
boobs.
yeah,
Because people
yeah.
are really nervous about legality, and there are Good Samaritan rules. So
Yeah.
if there's a man watching this, help a woman, do CPR. CPR is the number one way to help a woman who's having a cardiac event.
I think in that time we can put all things aside and realize that somebody needs help. And you're right. I mean, we have an obligation to help each other, you know. And look, I'm the daughter of a father who had a heart attack right there on the streets of New York City, you
Oh,
know, and it was a massive heart attack. I think by the time he even hit the floor, he was gone. But in that moment, what if it was a woman that had put her hand against the wall for a moment and then collapsed? Would somebody have helped that woman like the people that came and tried to help my dad, you know? So it raises a really good point. I never thought about that, that it's because we're like, whoa, 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 hands off.
yeah.
But, you know, hmm,
It's really crazy. And I'm learning all kinds of statistics like that. And anyone can learn stuff if you go to the
yeah,
website, the American Heart Association website. But they're really trying to do great things for women. A lot of research is going to be coming out of this. 100% of anything that I raise goes directly to research for Go Red for women.
yeah. That's what I was going to ask you
So
next. And I've
yeah.
I've worked with the Go Red for Women campaign a couple times as a journalist, and I really saw just how much, and no pun intended, they truly put their heart into the project. And, you know, from the events that are held to where the money goes. And I will share in the notes of this podcast how you can contribute or just find out facts. They are so good about sharing statistics and up-to-date facts because you can really go down the rabbit hole looking for the right kind of information. But I will say on this specific area, they don't cut any corners, you
Mm-mm.
know?
No, it's really it's crazy. They're awesome. And I really feel like I think maybe people look at the American Heart Association as this big organization, why do they need to raise funds?
Mm,
But specifically, they do for research. I mean, it's the number one killer
yeah,
of all Americans.
yeah.
And I still can't believe I did not know that until I just joined this campaign.
Yeah. So let
Nuts.
me ask you this, from what you learned from your situation, and when did that happen?
That
When
was
did your
August of 2023.
Okay, so it's not that long ago. You've
Mm-mm.
had, you know, you haven't even had 2 years to really ingest all of this. What is something you do differently, Stacey, that you have learned because of this experience to protect
Well,
your
I
heart?
feel like I am slower. I mean, you know
Mm,
me, I had my own company, production company that I sold.
mhm,
And then I have another company that I've just started, Mainline
mhm,
Studios, and the podcast. And I also work as an agency producer for an ad agency. I do a lot of things, but
mhm.
I used to pack in like 8 to 10 things a day. Now, like today, for instance, I had this podcast. I did 3 things. So I feel like I'm really kind of pacing myself. I was scared when I was in the hospital, so much so that I at one point like told my husband, I'm like, let's stop everything. Let's sell the house. Let's just be together because this is so silly. Like when you're facing a huge health scare, nothing else matters. I mean, I say that, but it's really the truth. Like not one other thing matters in life but your loved ones. And
So true.
it does go away. Like when I first came out of it, I was much more like protective of my time and my self-care. And it starts to fade after a while when you start to feel better. But I definitely don't have the stamina I did before I got the MRSA. There's a few things that are a lot different.
So self-care is important. I'll agree with you on that, and bringing down the stress levels very important because that's
Mhm.
really stress levels and high stress and cortisol that can be a killer as well. So you don't
Mhm.
want like this double dose, right? What are you doing with? Are there changes you've made in your life, in your lifestyle as well? You know, how you protect yourself, like the food you eat or the kind of movement that you do. How are you supporting yourself in that area?
Well, I just am thankful that I was very healthy going into it. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the reasons why I survived the MRSA because a lot of people don't survive that. When
Mm,
I came home, I had to have antibiotics in my arm for 6 weeks afterwards, and I had a home health nurse, and it
mm.
was just crazy. And she walked in the first day, and she was taking my statistics, and she said, "Well, isn't that great that you're alive?" And I was like, "Really? Like it was that close?" She's like, "Yeah." She said, "You really dodged a bullet." I'm thankful that I've always been healthy. I do a ton of yoga. We talked about that. I
Mhm.
do the hot yoga. I walk in the mornings. I eat fairly healthy. I don't drink that much anymore. I can't take it actually. I can't take the alcohol. This is too much of a hangover. But I mean, just stuff like that. But you know what? It's crazy. Like we really get old. Like we really do. Like I keep looking at Eric like we're actually, my husband, I'm like, we're actually getting older. Like this is nuts. Like, you know what I mean?
The
I just
things we
feel like
want,
I just feel
right?
like we shouldn't, get
Right.
older, but it's actually happening. So
Yeah, like is it the point, like I have these conversations a lot with Chris too, and Chris, who's my
yeah,
partner, and I'm like, I just want to like have a house with a dock and sitting on some old Adirondack chairs, and like late for me might be 9:30, and I don't even know if I want to go out to dinner if it's past 7. Like we get to that point where it's like, what, I want to live, I want to travel, I want to do
yeah,
great things, but I am at a point where I'm just like, I don't have time for that anymore. You
I
know,
know.
we went out a couple nights ago to see a friend who was performing at a comedy club who had come in from the West Coast. And I think we got home around 1:30. I'm like, who
Ooh,
are we? What? And
you're
it was so much
crazy.
fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But we were at
Right.
this comedy club bar until after 12:30 at night. And I'm like, oh my God, I'd be in bed by now, at least on the couch watching a Ken Burns documentary or something, right? Don't go out that much anymore to where it's late because your body pretty much is telling you what it needs and what to do. And do you feel like that's happened more for you as you've gotten older?
Sleep is like
Oh, yeah.
so necessary. When I first was recuperating from the whole thing, my eyes used to just tell me like I had to take a nap. I don't nap. I mean, I barely
Mhm.
sleep. Like my whole life, I had like 4 hours of sleep every night and I was fine with it, but I would have to take a nap and then I would go to sleep at like 9, and so I really sleep is so important. It's hard to sleep when you get older though. I definitely struggle with getting my full 8 hours where I'm not getting up every every
Oh,
2 or 3 hours.
yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like I want to sleep more, but sometimes it's hard. And you sit up and you're just in your chatter or you're in your head. I also have sleep apnea, so like I struggle with
Mhm.
that anyway. But having tools, obviously, to help me with that helps. But still, I sit up and I'm like, what's going on? Like you start going through that laundry list of things, and you really got to bring yourself down because it's so important. And also the connection between sleep and our heart health,
Mm.
right? What are some things that you wish you had done differently? Obviously, MRSA was something that it wasn't like you were acting carelessly and it came about, but what would be something that the older and wiser and more in tune Stacey would tell her younger self?
One of the things I don't do anymore, which I'm not sure if it was a factor in the MRSA or
Mhm.
not, was get nails. And I love having my little acrylic nails, but something about the nails, like I felt like maybe they introduced it into my face because I was scratching my
Mm.
face. So I don't do that particular thing. Besides working less,
Yeah.
which is hard for me, I got to be honest. I actually went to a therapist because
Hmm.
basically because I'm like, am I a workaholic? Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know because I love working so much. Of course, my son laughs his ass off. He's like, Mom, you don't work enough to be a workaholic. Like you definitely are not one.
Like,
But but I'm really trying to work in here most,
Mhm.
and because I felt like I was doing a lot physically, it's really in here, how to calm down, how to console myself, how to breathe more, how to slow down, how to
Mhm.
not be stressed. And I feel like hopefully, and also that helps with eating, right? So
Mhm.
I recently lost a lot of weight. I try to eat a lot of protein. I just,
Yeah.
and if you slow down, you're not, you know, eating
Yeah,
as
you're
much as
not
you.
nibbling, and so
Mhm.
much of food can really be boredom or just
Yeah.
that quick fix of dopamine and then you come down, right?
Mm.
That's great. I mean, I haven't seen you probably in over a year in
Yeah,
physical space.
I know. I
Uh,
miss you.
I miss you too. We're going to change
Well,
that. But I'm curious, what did you do to actually get yourself in a more healthy state?
I did do the tirzepatide,
Hmm.
the actual, not the
Hmm.
semaglutide, but the other one, which has been super, super helpful. It's not a cure-all, right? So if
Right.
you do that, you also have to do the other things. It does help
Right.
you with your appetite, but
Quiets the
you can't
noise.
eat
The,
only McDonald's. It does.
right. Quiets the food noise. Yeah.
Nuts and protein, protein, protein.
I think that's the big one, especially as we get older. We're told at least 100 grams of protein. We
Just
definitely
heard
need more
that.
protein. Yeah, as we get older, we definitely need more protein than we thought we did, for the lean muscle mass and just protecting our body and our and
Mhm.
everything around it, and protecting our arteries, protecting our organs, just creating a leaner mass because we hold on to a little more as we get older.
Yes. It's so hard. I've
Oh,
always been kind of
menopause.
like this my whole life, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like workaholic, when you hear that word, how does that resonate with you?
I mean, any aholic sounds
Yeah.
so bad, right?
Yeah.
But listen, we don't get penalized for being a workaholic. If we work really, really, really hard, we normally get lauded for that and people
Yeah.
applaud that. I could work. I have this, I'm a freelancer. I have
Hmm.
my own businesses. Like I could work 100 hours a day. Like if there were, like it would just, and never get to the bottom of all the work I have to do. So
So
I, and
true.
I mean, you have your own
Yeah.
business, you realize like I could be doing something right now that could probably help my business. I could be doing marketing. I could be doing, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I'm a creative, so I love to do all the graphic design and stuff like that. I would think I was should have been one in a past life. Maybe I was one. I've really tried what I did was I started getting puzzles. I'm a
Hmm.
puzzler. So I'm like, when I really feel like I need to just chill, I'll do a puzzle and I'll sit down and
Yeah.
do that and just kind of it gets my brain to not, or I'll read fiction. Like I'm a big
Yeah.
fiction reader, especially to go to sleep at night. It turns my brain off. Or if I
Hmm.
wake up at 3 a.m., I read a fiction book. That's
Yeah.
just,
I like
yeah.
to read and I don't do technology in my room as much as possible because the
That's
doom
great.
scrolling, you can get pulled in. I love the puzzles. Like you're talking about just like puzzle pieces. Yeah.
Yes, like an
When's the last time
actual,
you did
I
one of
got,
those?
well, no, listen, Cindy Crawford, I follow her on Instagram. She's my buddy. No, she's not. But that was like somewhere and she had this puzzle box that she could like spin around and like put puzzle pieces of different colors in different drawers. And I'm obsessed. I have one. And so I can move my puzzle off the table and bring it over here and bring it back. And when I'm watching television or doing whatever, I just, you know, or what football
I
games on,
love
I'll
that.
puzzle. It's really, I love it. And I've got one of my friends on it too.
I might have to try that. I haven't done puzzles in a long time, and it used to be so much fun.
It's
But then
so
what do you
fun.
do with the puzzles when you're done?
I mean, I put them sometimes I put some tape on them and put them under my under my
It's such
bookshelf,
an
or you could
achievement.
just rip them up and put them back in the box.
I'm always amazed at the folks that just like glue them together. They're on a wall. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like the people that do like Legos, I'm like, you have to have a whole nother room for that. And then you've got, Lego Palooza going on, right? But the
Yeah,
the idea of just doing a puzzle, and then maybe, the second time you do it, it's never going to be the same. If you do it
true.
again, it will
Yeah.
never be the same two pieces that you start with or end with,
And
you
what's kind
know?
of fun is like people might walk by and then kind of get involved in the puzzle. Like they might not
Yeah.
want to, but like maybe my daughter will be like, "Oh, let me see if I can fit this one in." So it kind of becomes a little bit of a
That you're like, don't touch
gathering.
my
I'm like,
territory.
"What are you doing with that?"
Don't
That's an
don't
end piece.
don't even don't even touch that. I've been looking for that for an hour and a half.
What about this piece?
Right. Don't you hate that? Like when someone comes along and you're just like sorting. And I remember this from doing puzzles. You'd be looking for that one piece and someone would be like, oh, I think that goes right
Mm.
there. And you're like, you mother.
My sister, like she came to visit and she did that for like half an hour. And every time she got a piece, she'd be like, "Oh, there it is." I was like, "Would you just
You
please
just
button
remove
it?"
yourself.
Like, I can't find any of the brown ones. So just shh. Like we literally got in a huge fight.
So let me ask you this. What's next? I mean, we talked about the fact that, look, gurus and game changers, I want to mention that because it's a really great podcast. I had such a blast being on the show when
You
you
were
first
awesome at it.
launched. Well, I adore you and I adore Mark. The both of you are just wonderful co-hosts together. And knowing you both, yeah, do the hearts. And then of course you have this beautiful new studio of
Yes.
Mainline. I need to come and check that out in
Mm-hmm.
Westchester, Pennsylvania. You and
Well,
Eric
it's
have
in Wayne.
created.
Now it's in
Oh, it's
Wayne.
now it's in
Yeah.
Wayne.
Now it's in
Ooh,
Wayne.
ooh la
Excuse me.
la.
It's on the main
Pardon,
line.
we're moving up in the move. It's on the main line.
Yes.
Main line's on the main line.
Main line's on the main
Love it.
line.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, your other studio was great, but this one, everything I see, I'm just like, I just want to be close to that. It's such a.
Please.
I will. I will. I'm going to
Yeah.
come visit. And then, catching wind of you being so involved with this movie, The Line.
Oh yeah, the movie. So it's on Amazon Prime and it's
Hmm.
on Apple. And it is a movie about a fraternity where things go wrong. It's a little
That
dark.
never happens.
It's a little dark, but you can rent it now. I think it's actually,
Yeah.
you probably can just watch it now. Hopefully
Yeah.
you don't have to rent the movie, but it's Alex Wolff,
Mhm.
Halle Bailey, John Malkovich, Denise Richards, Lewis Pullman from Top Gun. So there's
Amazing.
like and when we cast the movie, some of these people weren't even stars yet. It was super fun. It was in the heat of COVID when we shot it. And I couldn't even come to set because I was like, if I come to set, I'm definitely going to get COVID and shut the movie down. So I didn't go, but I saw dailies and it was just a really fun project
Nice.
to be a part of. So thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah, there's something about being creative and being around the creative types. We definitely have our fingers in a lot of different, projects because that's how the brain works, doing the puzzles, creating the podcast, being part of a movie, reorganizing your furniture in your house. I mean, whatever it might be, it's always something different, right?
Yeah.
But it also comes back to when is the point where we're taking on too much or we have to take a step back and be like, you know what, I'm going to slow my roll a little bit. I need to slow my roll
Very,
a little bit,
very
right?
good question because my full-time job really almost is working as an agency producer for an ad agency.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really my, bread and butter.
Bread and butter, yeah.
But I do all these other things at
Yeah.
the same time.
It's just finding what brings you joy. As we get older, we realize those are the kind of things we want more to tip the scale than the things that are just the grunt work that even might just be paying the bills, right? When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to our well-being, like that's also currency, right? It's
Yeah.
not just cash, it's time,
Yeah.
it's sleep, it's what we really value, and especially as circumstances come into our lives that are not expected, like what you went through, or, just the everyday changes that happen. We have to be really aware of that. And I think that's a real lesson here. And why I wanted to do this episode and why I wanted to bring you on was to really just create that open space conversation and also connect with you because I adore you. So, all right. So, you know what's coming.
I know. I'm
You're like, all
nervous.
right, enough chit chat. Can we just get to the game already? All right. So,
I'm gonna try my best.
we do a little bit of brain candy, little word
Mm.
association, writing down some words that you have said during this episode of HIListically Speaking. I'm going to throw out a word, Stacey Grant, and you need to come back with the first word that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Yoga.
Calm.
Healthy.
Heart.
Podcast.
Gurus.
Sleep.
Relax.
Research.
Organization.
Mom.
Help.
Workaholic.
Road. What's that from?
All right.
I'm trying to be true with my words that are popping.
I love it. Don't think too much about it. MRSA.
Ugly.
Film.
Joy.
And heart.
Health.
Yeah. I wish you a healthy heart. And I'm so glad that you're where you are. And look, our lessons are what is tomorrow's learnings, right? Our traumas to triumphs, our messes, our message. And I can honestly say, I wish you didn't go through what you went through because I can imagine it was very scary, but I'm so glad you got through it. So you're here today to talk about it and take better care of you so that others know that they can take better care of themselves. And I'm certainly going to be asking questions too for my own health. So thank you for
Please do.
opening my eyes to some things too.
Yes. Love you.
You have anything that you want to share as we close?
If anyone wants to donate to the Women of Impact campaign, I'll send you the link and people can go ahead and donate and help women everywhere.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. We're here to help each other. Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, my friend, if you know someone who may be touched, moved, and inspired by this conversation with Stacey Grant, somebody who might find this beneficial, definitely pay it forward, pass it along, let them know that this episode of HIListically Speaking exists. You might make a difference in somebody's life. You might even save a life. And if you want to learn more about Stacey Grant, my dear friend, how to support the American Heart Association, even learn more about her podcast, Gurus and Game Changers, with her co-host, Mark Lavragi, I highly recommend you check out the podcast and check the notes of this podcast as well, because I will have all the links for you to connect to Stacey, to the podcast, to Mainline Studios, and also, of course, to the American Heart Association if you want to make a change and make a difference as well. And you heard us talk about havening techniques, a wonderful way to self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care with neuroscience on your side. As a havening practitioner and also a trainer, I offer free online havening happy hours every month, as well as trainings, mentorship, and certification. I will share the links in the notes of this podcast episode as well. HIListically Speaking is edited by Two Market Media, with music by my friend Lipbone Redding, and of course, supported by you. So thank you time and time again for making this time together important. Be well, my friend. Be kind to your mind, and of course, be kind to your heart, because you matter. And I want you here for a really long time, because I love you, I believe in you, and I'm sending hugs your way. Be well.